In 2024, a truck crashed into Kanawha Animal Rescue, where I work. 146 of our dogs needed homes fast. We asked for help on Facebook. Our story spread through WhatsApp messages and Instagram reposts. Immediately, people stepped up.
I'm here to foster.
And just 6 hours later, every dog was fostered. I'll never forget how our community showed up for us.
Learn how over 3.5 billion people connect to what matters with Meta at meta.com/community.
Quick, choose a meal deal with McValue. The $5 McChicken meal deal, the $5 McDouble meal deal, or the new $6 Daily Double meal deal. Each with its own small fries, drink, and 4-piece McNuggets. There's actually no rush. I'm just excited for McDonald's. For a limited time only, prices and participation may vary. Not valid for McDelivery.
Today's episode of Phillies Therapy is executive produced by Adam D., Andrew C., Andrew G., Joe M., and Owen S. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to learn more about becoming an executive producer or other supporter of the show here at Phillies Therapy, go to patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. All right, on to the show. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, fanatics of all ages. Welcome to the first Phillies Therapy of March 2026. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Claude coding schedule to check in with us and listen to what we have to say about this Philadelphia Phillies baseball team. Spring training is underway. Games are being played. Guys are getting out there taking their hacks. The World Baseball Classic is coming up at the end of this week. Things are happening. Those are the good things. There's also some not great things happening. Namely, reportedly, Phillies outfielder Johan Rojas will be suspended for 80 games due to a positive performance-enhancing drug test. Similarly, Atlanta Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar tested positive for the second straight year and will miss 162 games pending appeal. That one's not really related to the Phillies necessarily. It just makes me feel better to say that about the Braves. So welcome into the show. That's basically where we stand at the moment. You're caught up. The World Baseball Classic is starting. Spring training games are being played. Johan Rojas is going to be suspended. And the Braves continue to have the worst start to their spring of all time. With all of that being said, let me welcome in my co-host, who is dragging back from a hugely entertaining party atmosphere down in South Philadelphia around the Philadelphia 76ers last night and their wildly entertaining game against the Spurs. He is the Phillies beat writer for The Athletic. He is Matt Gelb. Matt, hello. Welcome back. Welcome to March. We can see the line on the horizon.
I stopped making fun of me. You went to Florida with your dad and watched some spring training games, and
Yes, I did.
I did something that I've never done before, which is leave the Sixers game before the fourth quarter started. So
It's self-care. You got to just take care of yourself when you're in the midst of something like that. I'm one of those people who loves to wait out a baseball game to the very end. No matter,
I very,
no matter what
very, very rarely leave. I mean, again, I don't go to baseball games as fans anymore,
well,
but
sure.
I rarely leave a Sixers game before it ends. Like even I'll usually stick it out. I split season tickets with a couple buddies, and I'll almost always stick it out to the end. Maybe I'll leave with 2 minutes left, but I'm almost always sticking it out to the end, and just couldn't do it last night. But
I mean, when they're losing by 50, you just got to do what's best for you.
Victor Wembanyama is tall. Can confirm. It's cool to see him in person. But anyway,
you know who else is tall?
Podcast.
No, but you know who else is tall? No, you teed me up. You know who else is tall? Andrew Painter. There we go. Finish that one off. I got to see Andrew Painter pitch because I went down to Florida. That's right. Well, look, first of all, Baycare and the complex around it continues to be exceptional. I haven't been to every single spring training park in Florida, none in Arizona, obviously, but with as much bias as I can put aside, my dad and I just enjoy every time we go see a game there. Everything just lines up perfect. You can get anything you need within a quick walk of the concourse. It's got great sight lines. It's just a really nice park. And we got to see 2 games there over the weekend, including the one that Andrew Painter started. I got to bust out my rented big ass camera lens that I don't think got in the way of too many people watching the game. It got a lot of questions, which was great.
I would have complained to security about you if you were sitting behind me.
I moved my way into the aisle when I could. I got seats that were against one of the one of the cement stanchions, like at the end, like section 120 down the left field line, where there's no neighboring section. My dad and I were at the very end of our row. I stepped out into the stairs so I could take some of these pictures, right? Like, I think about this stuff, man. The fan experience matters to me. But no, I had a lot of people commenting on the lens because it was huge. And I had a lot of security people thinking, what, do you put something in there? They thought it was a beverage container, which is interesting to me. They thought it was a giant thermos, which I can't say I really blame them because it looked like it could hold about a gallon of liquid. Anyway, got some good pictures of Andrew Painter, Matt. And as much as I could look forward to a 2-inning spring training appearance, Painter's first in Major League Spring Training in 3 years, that was about as excited as I could be about a rather uneventful 2 innings.
I think that's what they wanted. I mean, not like, I think like everybody was sort of comparing it to that the Cole Hamels outing years and years ago against the Yankees when Hamels was in Major League camp as a non-roster player, and wearing a large number, and strikes out A-Rod and Jeter, and everyone's like, oh my god, this guy. But like, I that wasn't Painter's outing the other day. But I think a totally normal outing for him was like exactly what he needed, because he's been talking, and they've been talking all spring about how they want him to feel like he's just one of the guys. And obviously there's, it's hard because he's a big prospect and there's a lot of attention on him, and they really need him to be a competent major league starter this season. But I think just like a totally normal outing can go a long way. And obviously there's things you'd like to see better. I mean, I did a couple pitches over the harder plate. You're like, another hitter might have done more damage to those pitches, but he threw 5 or 6 different pitches in his 20 pitches, and it was rather uneventful, and so be it. I want to ask you more about your Florida trip, but I think first we should talk about Johan Rojas.
Yeah, we might as well just kind of get this out of the way. Johan Rojas, of course, the slick fielding center fielder who was set to more than likely open the year with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs and not make the Phillies on opening day, will instead, reportedly, because this is not confirmed and is pending appeal, be suspended 80 games for testing positive for performance-enhancing substance, which will rule him out until the middle of the summer. Matt, this is kind of continuing the trend of a bit of a downfall for my boy Johan, who I was excited about a couple years ago. I knew he was never going to keep up what he did in 2023 on offense. It fell off a bit sharper than I think I was even hoping that way, and it sort of dulls the shine of his defense. And so we were left with this guy who was coming into this 2026 season as outfield depth, one of the few major league ready capable center fielders that the team currently has on their 40-man roster. And now he will no longer be an option for half the year. And it continues a pattern of what feels like frustration of grinding the gears between Johan and the organization and all sorts of things surrounding this. It's just kind of turned into a bit of a mess. And it's a shame because the Phillies probably would have had use for Johan sometime at the first half of the year. Somebody goes down with an injury. He's a guy who comes right up and can play the outfield right away. And now he will not be an option, especially if Justin Crawford falters severely early in the year. Matt, what can you tell us about what you've learned surrounding Johan's situation, him having to pull out of the World Baseball Classic, and what this might mean for, once he gets reactivated, his future around here in this organization?
Well, I guess start with this. I mean, it's highly unusual that a positive test like this leaks before the suspension has actually happened. Because to be clear, Johan Rojas has not yet been suspended by Major League Baseball. It is pending an appeal, and Rojas is appealing the positive test. And my understanding is this is a test from sometime in the offseason. And the way this process works, I mean, it's a little convoluted. I mean, often it takes weeks, months, for this to be resolved. I mean, a guy can test positive and then, can request a second test. Then there's, an appeals process and a processing situation. And, often, we don't know about a guy being suspended until way, way after he's tested positive. And In fact, like, Johan Rojas currently, I mean, he can play. I mean, he is appealing his suspension. He is eligible to play in these exhibition games. I believe that last year, I mean, Jose Alvarado was pitching in major league regular season games while appealing his positive test.
Yeah.
And the teams are often some of the last people to know about this. I mean, it is a matter between the player and the league, and obviously the players' union is involved, but the player is not under any requirement to inform the club that, hey, by the way, I tested positive, I'm appealing it. Just wanted to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys might say that. I think most guys wouldn't, because what happens if, like, you do win your appeal and it just goes away? You'd rather your employer not know that. I mean, I think that's well within the player's rights. That's collectively bargained. That's how the
Yes.
process works.
I agree.
So all that said, this is an unusual timing here because the World Baseball Classic essentially forced Rojas's hand. Rojas was not going to be able to play in the World Baseball Classic with a pending positive test. That's my understanding.
Okay.
And so he dropped out from the DR team last week sometime. And I believe that, someone from, involved with the DR team or with the World Baseball Classic or something, had, told this a reporter, Wilbur Sanchez, who covers Latin American baseball, that Rojas was not on the Dominican Republic team anymore because of a positive drug test. And that makes this whole thing a little unusual here, because now we have this weird situation where, like, I think Rojas might play in Wednesday's exhibition game. He still has a locker with the Phillies. He was working out with the Phillies on Tuesday in Clearwater.
Okay.
He did not play in the game against the Rays in Port Charlotte, but it's an unusual one. How often do the appeals work? We don't know, because, like, a lot of times, again, we don't know about it. Like, if a guy tests positive and he appeals it, there could be plenty of instances where he has evidence to present, and it's not in a court of law. I mean, it's a court of MLB, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's a jury of your peers here, but if he wins his appeal and doesn't get suspended, then this all goes away, and it's just a little weird, I guess. That's why typically this stuff doesn't come out until the league has actually suspended him. And I know there are some ethical things at play here, but for Rojas himself, if he is indeed suspended, pretty damaging to his career. I mean, this is a guy who, Paul, I think, like you mentioned, I mean, I think the idea of Rojas has always been intriguing. The reality has not been so much. I don't think he was going to make the team out of spring training, even as a 26th man. He does have minor league option remaining, so I think they were content to send him out to AAA and have him play every day in center field there. And if there was any kind of need that arose in the majors, that they could bring him out. Depth chart wise, not great. You mentioned, I mean, they were already kind of thin in the outfield coming into spring training. I mean, like, I think that's no secret.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that one for a little bit, right?
Pedro Leon is on the 40-man roster. He can play some center field. I fully expect he's going to get quite a few center field reps in these exhibition games. Like, even if they start Crawford in center on most days in the Grapefruit League games, and then Leon comes in after him on some days, I think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Leon is an optionable outfielder the Phillies claimed in the offseason. I've heard mixed things. Takes a great batting practice. It's prodigious. I've also heard that that the just a little rough around the edges, instincts wise, baseball IQ. Like, there's just he played in the majors a little bit with the Astros, and I think it was pretty short lived. Brian De La Cruz is in camp, not really a center fielder anymore. I think he could stand there. The ultimate baseball backhanded compliment. I think he could stand out in center field. Beyond that, not a lot. I mean, Dylan Campbell, I think, is going to start getting, he's gotten some center field time. He's a guy that they bought from the Dodgers, if you'll recall, for like $1 million in bonus pool money. He went to AFL. He's in camp as a non-roster player. He's kind of a super do-it-all utility guy, and I'm sure he'll get some more center field here in the next 2 weeks. they're probably going to have to go sign somebody right at the end of camp. There'll be plenty of cuts from other camps. I think that they were already planning on trying to sign at least one outfielder for AAA on a minor league deal. Would not surprise me if they do. There's one last thing I want to say about this, and that is, I do think there was some frustration about Rojas within the Phillies organization because he did come to camp with a chance to win a job, and the Phillies have encouraged most of their guys to play in the WBC. I don't think they've really stood in the way and said, even with like somebody like Dante Nori, like, hey, this would be a great experience for you to go play for Team Italy.
Yeah.
Do it. In the case of Rojas, I'm not so sure that was how they felt, because Rojas was he really wasn't going to play for the DR. Like, he was on their roster, but if you look at the DR roster, he kind of stuck out because you're like, wow, I mean, it's a stacked roster. I mean, it's an amazing roster. I mean, they could very much win this thing. In fact, I think they're going to win the thing. If you had to give me a choice, I'm saying that the DR will win the WBC. What a hot take. Rojas was not going to play.
No,
like, he wasn't going to play. He was going to be used as a defensive replacement with lead late in games, or as a pinch runner for the DR. And I think the way the Phillies looked at it was a little confusion, because Rojas needs at bats and could have been getting them regularly in Phillies camp had he not wanted to go to the WBC, but would have spent 2 weeks of the WBC with the DR not really playing. And so I think there was a little bit of disappointment there that he had chosen that. Now, of course, he's in Phillies camp now because he backed out of the WBC because of quote unquote personal reasons, but mainly because once the WBC and the DR knew of this pending test, he was essentially not welcomed anymore. So disappointing. It's a case always, like, when something like this happens, and it's disappointment. I mean, I don't think, I generally give guys the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't know that, guys are I go into it thinking that guys are accidentally have taken a supplement, maybe that they should have checked and didn't know was banned. I tend to try to believe that, guys aren't actively cheating or aren't stupid enough to actively try to cheat.
Yeah.
Jerks and Profar is the exception at this point.
Yeah. Fool me once, etc.
Disappointing. And, in the grand scheme of things, how much does this affect the Phillies? Not a lot.
It
right?
Doesn't seem like it has a huge, the way you were describing it, it didn't seem like the ripples were really that big and affect.
They're not. I mean, it is like, if there's an injury in the outfield right now, Paul, I mean, like, not great, right?
Sure.
Not great. And, if it's ineffectiveness, like, we're all kind of sitting here assuming, hey, Justin Crawford, like, we think, we don't think he's going to be great, but we think he's going to be good enough to be, a major league player on a contending team for 6 months. What if he's not? Yeah. What if he's not? I mean, what if it goes really badly and he's not?
It's possible. We have to acknowledge the possibility.
Quick, choose a meal deal with McValue. The $5 McChicken meal deal, the $5 McDouble meal deal, or the new $6 Daily Double meal deal. Each with its own small fries, drink, and 4-piece McNuggets. There's actually no rush. I'm just excited for McDonald's. For a limited time only, prices and participation may vary. Not valid for McDelivery.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret. With Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
That's pure automotive joy. I'm Peter, the owner of Muscle Car Jr. It started as a hobby, then I started posting about it. Before I knew it, I built a business restoring muscle cars on Facebook Marketplace and a community of car lovers on Instagram. Today, new customers send me WhatsApp messages from all over. Not bad for a hobby.
Learn how Meta helps over 35 million American businesses like Peter's grow at meta.com/community.
Few things are as uplifting as the greatest moments in sports. And nothing brings us together quite like Team USA at the Olympic Winter Games. From NBC Universal's iconic storytelling to the innovative technology across Xfinity and Peacock, Comcast brings the Olympic Games home to America, sharing every moment with millions. When Team USA steps onto the world stage, we're not just watching, we're cheering together. This winter, we're all on the same team. Comcast, proud partner of Team USA.
So this leaves them a little exposed. I agree with you. I don't think the ripple effects are rather significant. I think they're significant for Rojas personally.
Yes.
Obviously. For the team, I don't know. I mean, I think he had really fallen out of favor. And people have been asking me about Rojas. Some fans have been like, hey, we haven't really heard about this guy. And, what's the deal? And I just kind of be like, and this is before I knew about the test. I mean, like, he really had fallen out of favor. And I think the WBC decision did not help his cause. And disappointing because, this guy signed for $10,000. And I remember the first time I heard about him was Mitch Rupert, who used to cover the Williamsport short season team, rookie ball team in the New York Penn League, had written about him. And then somebody from the farm system had told me, hey, it's the ball hard. I was like in the nascent days of like measuring exit velocities in the low minors. And the idea of Rojas was always really interesting. And, unfortunately, if this is true and he is suspended for 80 games, it would seem to really put a giant nail, I would think, in his career. Would it not?
I start finding myself thinking about what that future looks like when he is activated in the middle of the summer. I can't really talk about next winter's transactions now because we are in that weird period where the 26-27 offseason needs to be talked about in strange hush tones and a bunch of caveats all the time. So get ready for a full season of that. That's going to be great. But it does absolutely make me think that, diminished value and all, this is not the first time it's come out where it seems like the organization and Rojas are rubbing heads a bit, right? He was optioned to the minor leagues in part because he just would not bunt, right? Am I remembering that right? Like,
it wasn't because of just that.
Not
but
just
I think
that.
There was, there was some frustration that, he really was. They weren't asking him to hit the ball into the ground, but I think they were asking him, hey, don't be trying to hit it in the air. Which I think at times Rojas was guilty of. I think there was like his play in center field was kind of erratic. Remember that at the start of not last season, but 2 seasons ago?
I do.
It was just it was like, okay, it wasn't great, right? And there was and you're like, wow, just weird because this is his calling card. And also if he's going to be here, he's got to catch everything essentially.
Yes.
And that's tough because it's, you don't catch everything. That's just life. But, he's got to catch most of it. And I don't know. It feels like they probably rushed him when they did call him up, right? And it was out of need. They needed a center fielder. They called him up in 2023, and he was, really, really good for them. Really good. But the league adjusted, and I don't think Rojas necessarily adjusted back. And I think that it speaks to a larger issue about, his development, and I think their frustrations with him.
So that's the bad news. And thankfully, that's really that's most of the bad news to this point.
They've avoided so far major injury, right?
Yeah.
I think they're all going to be holding their breath, no doubt, as their guys go to the WBC. 3/5 of their rotation is in the WBC, and I don't know that they're loving that, but I think the pitch limits are on these guys, right? Chris Sanchez isn't going to go out and throw 100 pitches in his WBC start for the DR.
These are tight limits. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're
65 or something, or 60, something like that. But they've avoided, I think the Aiden Miller thing is certainly worth monitoring. I think there's been My colleague Charlotte Varnes wrote over the weekend a story about Miller, and he said, he'd been playing through some of this back soreness last year, which is not great. That's
No.
not what you want to hear.
No.
He claims that he's pain free. He's doing better. Like I think at this point, like it would be, I guess, surprising to see him play in a Grapefruit League game, which is disappointing, right? I mean, like I think, again, he wasn't going to make the team out of camp, but you wanted to see him this spring, right? You
Yes,
wanted to
I
see
did.
him, against some big leaguers here and there on the mound, right? In some of these Grapefruit League games, you wanted to see him, get his feet wet a little bit at third base. Although he said to me, he kind of laughed. He's like, I was a third baseman my whole time in high school. Like he didn't play shortstop in high school. Isn't that crazy? He was going to play shortstop his senior year of high school, but he suffered an injury that kept him out for most of that high school season. So he knows how to play third base. I mean, yes, it's very different playing at a professional level, and he's going to have to get some time there, and he will at AAA. But disappointing, right? I think you'd like to see him now. Now that said, if he's able to ramp up and be out there close or at the start of the minor league season, then so be it. It's not a big deal.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
We'll see. We'll see on that.
I remember watching Miller last spring. In the couple of times I got to see him, and he did look like he was starting to belong there. Like the
at shortstop or at
just in the majors, just like looking comfortable.
There was some tough at bats early in spring last year. Like tough
I'm thinking
ones.
more. I'm thinking more in the field. This is one of those things where you look at a guy and you're just like, that's what that looks like. I forget who is credited with that. That's like a quick little, hey, you see that? That's what that looks like. When you're trying to talk about that's what a major leaguer looks like. I agree that the offense in those spring at bats wasn't great, but I like what I saw with him and Arun Escobar, when I watched them both on the field last year. And he was one of the guys I was obviously excited to get a look at, was hopeful to get a look at this past weekend. But I'm totally fine with the idea of holding him out if that's what this medical staff, who I will continue to sing the praises of, feels is the best idea. He was not going to make this team. He did not need to get these major league spring training plate appearances to try and, make his case to make this team. There was no spot for him on the opening day roster, at least with everybody healthy. So if he just needs to take this time to rest up and get fully 100% for minor league opening day, that is okay by me.
Yeah, and then the other one would be Gabriel Rincones Jr., who, I think there's some concern about the knee issues that have seemed to persist. He was supposed to get into games, maybe like middle of this month. I don't know if that's going to happen. And he becomes a little more important too. Back to the conversation about outfield depth. He's not a center fielder, Rincones.
Right. Oh yeah.
But he's on the 40-man roster now. And he is a guy who, that if there was an injury to one of the corner outfielders, would be in consideration if they had to fill a spot. So right now, let's just assume that Rojas is suspended and Rincones is sidelined to begin the season for an undetermined amount of time. You're really, really, really thin there. And, so that's why, Rincones' situation merits some attention and some monitoring.
It does make me think, because Rojas, when he's suspended, he will be off the 40-man roster.
Yes, he's on the restricted list for 80 games.
Yeah, and now again, I'm saying when. I need to be saying it because as of our recording here, it is not official. This has not
right. But if he's off, they would be currently at 38 because right now they're at 39.
Yeah,
and him coming off would be 38.
Which feels like a big door opening for someone like Brian De La Cruz, who is having a nice spring to start here in the first, week and a half. Somebody who probably would have his eye on that last spot. You mentioned Pedro Leon earlier. He's in the mix too, obviously.
Leon's on the 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Crawford is he needs to go on.
Yep. So there's one spot for Crawford to get to as things stand right now, to get to 39. And then potentially with this additional 40-man spot opening up, it could open it up for De La Cruz or somebody else. There's a long way to go in spring. We have weeks more of games to go. We are about 3 weeks out from opening day, so there's still time for a lot of this to shake out. And if you're looking ahead to the World Baseball Classic, that starts later this week, this Friday, March the 6th, at 8 o'clock Eastern. If the United States is your rooting team of choice, you get to see them take on Brazil. Logan Webb is the probable pitcher to get things started for the American team there.
Friend of the podcast, Jake Mintz, was discussing this with Jordan Schusterman on their podcast, Cespedes Barbecue, which is a great listen, obviously. They believe that this is going to be the greatest mismatch in the history of professional baseball.
Well, if the A's game against Brazil that just happened over the weekend as a tune-up was any indication, they might be right.
Because like Brazil has like apparently like literal high schoolers on their team.
Yeah, gone are the days of Jan Gomes, huh?
I mean, there's mercy rules, right, in the WBC?
Yes.
Am I wrong? Yes.
Nope, 10
this
runs.
This game will not be going 9 innings.
I have a hard time thinking it goes 9 innings. Yes. I don't know when those take effect. Maybe after the 5th or 6th inning, they can take effect.
Whenever it is, it'll be done.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
The Phillies do have a farmhand. I believe the Phillies have a farmhand on Brazil. Gabriel Barbosa, a pitcher.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
A righty.
Bit of a deep cut.
He might get to face Bryce Harper on Friday night.
There you go. So that's what's coming up this weekend. I know we're a little bit split on this. I like what the WBC has become. There's some worry that in some corners of the fan base that playing in these games, with that extra bit of competition this early in March could be, might raise the risk of injury. I think we've seen, we saw the Edwin Diaz thing last WBC and are like, oh no, what if that happens to Chris Sanchez? That's kind of just the risk of playing baseball. You can do that in a regular spring training game. That's the way I look at it.
I'm not skeptical about the WBC because of the injury risk. I'm more skeptical about WBC because I'm just not.
Sure.
I don't know. Like I just don't. It's early March. Like there's pitching limits on these guys. It's like, is it like a
what does it represent?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's cool that more of the game's best players and star players are participating.
100%.
But like Tarek Skubal is pitching for the U.S. and he's pitching once and he's pitching against Great Britain.
Yeah,
and he's gonna throw like 55 pitches, and you're like, I don't know. You think Vance Worley will start against him?
Oh.
If the U.S. is going to bring out its ace, like Great Britain's got to, counter with its best.
Well, yeah, and I'm even skipping over what could happen today here on Wednesday as the Phillies play an exhibition against Team Canada, where old friend Philippe Aumont can make an appearance for team. He's on Team Canada.
He's pitching Team Canada. I highly recommend you read Matt Breen's story at the Philadelphia Inquirer. He wrote a feature on Philippe Aumont this week, who he's been retired from baseball, and he's like he's a farmer. He's a farmer in Quebec, and he's got pigs and chickens, and it's a cool story. Philippe Aumont is one of my all-time favorite guys I've covered in the last 15 years. Just a really solid human being, and I hope he gets a pitch. He talks in the story about how he would love for his daughters to see him, to maybe see a game in Philadelphia and see, where he, once played professional baseball in major leagues. And just the whole idea of it's cool. I hope that he pitches against the Phillies on Wednesday.
I think that would be fantastic. And for those of you, because this happened more than 16 years ago, there's some of you out there.
Some of you don't know who Philippe Aumont is.
Yeah. And some, you're thinking about graduating high school and you're like, who the hell is this guy that they're waxing poetic about? Back in December of 2009, the fabled era when Roy Halladay came in and Cliff Lee went out, when Cliff Lee went to the Seattle Mariners, Philippe Aumont was one of the 3 prospects from Seattle that came back to Philadelphia. He was at the time he was a top 100 global guy. Like, he was a well-regarded arm, and it just never quite panned out. But at least he made the major leagues, and he can always say that. He pitched in the major leagues for parts of multiple seasons, 2, 3, 4 seasons. He made appearances in 4 different major league seasons, 2012 through 15. And that's why we're talking about him, because that's cool. I mean,
My lasting Oman memory was from in 2012. You'll remember this. In September, they started kind of making a little bit of a push for a wild card spot. They were an extremely mediocre team. They finished 81-81. They were the definition of mediocrity. But that month, they were kind of like they had a outside shot at a wild card, and Oman was this like new toy for Charlie Manuel and Rich Doobie, and like they used him a lot. And I'm looking at the game logs right now. So this is in September. Okay. He pitched both ends of a doubleheader on the September 9th, had one day off, then pitched the 11th. He pitched the 12th, and then he pitched the 13th. And I remember they were in Houston and they were playing, one of the terrible, terrible Astros rebuilding teams. And Oman came in the 8th, and it was, his fifth time pitching in 4 days. And gave up, blew the lead in the 8th inning. The Phillies lost the game, and that was, I just remember that being, kind of the end. And I think and he blew another game 2 days later against the Astros. He just got, a little overused there. But
yeah, I'm looking just as we continue walking down this path. I'm pulling up this game log. Gets Justin Maxwell in the first out, walks Jason Castro. Jordan Schaefer, Braves nemesis, who I remember homering against the Phillies as a rookie.
Yes, he was the Jamie Moyer courtesy, right? He swung at the first pitch Jamie threw on a Sunday Night Baseball, and Jamie said after the game that he should have had the courtesy to take the first pitch.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Was that him? It might have been him.
I think so, yeah.
Courtesy. All right, yeah, anyway. Then he walks Matt Dominguez, who was a prospect for the moment at his own right. Jordan Schaefer was caught stealing second base after he pinch ran, by the way. Then Oman hits Scott Moore, who even as a guy remember, I do not remember. And then Jake Diekman comes in and gives up hits to Jed Lowry and Brandon Barnes to let the Astros complete that comeback. So there you go. Thank you for walking with us. Former and future Phillies legend Brian Bogusevic would later end that inning on a strikeout against Jake Diekman. There we go. That's 2012 for you. In case you don't remember that, that's kind of how that whole season just felt. Just up and down. And anyway, we're in 2026 now. It is 14 years later, and the Phillies are continuing their spring training tune-ups. Both
so you get Nola, you get Nola today, Wednesday against Canada. Luzardo will make his spring debut Thursday against the Red Sox.
I've been looking forward to that.
Gene Cabrera is going to pitch Friday's game at the Pirates, and then Painter gets another start at home Saturday against the American League champion Toronto Blue Jays.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet, and the not-so-secret secret. With Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Quick, choose a meal deal with McValue. The $5 McChicken meal deal, the $6 McDouble meal deal, or the new $7 Daily Double meal deal. Each with its own small fries, drink, and 4-piece McNuggets. There's actually no rush. I'm just excited for McDonald's. For a limited time only, prices and participation may vary. Not valid for McDelivery.
Instagram teen accounts default teens into automatic protections for who can contact them and the content they can see. Explore teen accounts and all of our ongoing work to protect teens online at Instagram.com/teen accounts.
Taste the Mediterranean at Whole Foods Market with a vibrant selection that captures the flavors of the region. Shop coastal favorites like responsibly farmed whole bronzini and jumbo white shrimp, and pair them with specialty pastas, robust olive oils, and aromatic sauces directly sourced from the Mediterranean. Want a fast and easy dinner? Grab refreshing Greek salads and tortellini from the prepared foods department. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market.
And so this is the point where while the WBC is going on, we have a chance to probably see a couple more of these rotational guys, these minor league call-ups, these depths of the 40-man guys get a little more run because there are innings to cover. There are innings to be played in the field. They're going to need the guys to cover that. And so there's a chance, like Gene Cabrera getting a start this weekend, where you might see some guys you wouldn't normally see if the roster was its full complement and everybody was still in camp. So if you like undersized starting pitchers, get ready to check out Gene Cabrera and see what he has to offer this year. I know he was talked about on the fringe for a couple of years as being somebody who might break in. I guess he's still technically somebody who can make an appearance this year, possibly make his debut if things go that way.
Yeah, I mean, like he's
not
one of the
whole lot
few
ahead of him.
guys at AAA who,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. All right, so that's where things stand. We
Big
still got
game.
other.
Do you think Rob Thompson is going to throw the game against Canada today to try to help his country?
They got a sleeper agent in the room.
I mean,
hey, I don't know.
I guess he's not, because I'm looking at the list of guys who are going to pitch today. It's Backus, Banks, Bolin, Duran.
Okay.
Duran making his spring debut. So really, Rob Thompson not holding back on his countrymen.
No, he's letting them have it. If you're gonna beat them, you're gonna beat them at their best. I don't know. I'm gonna be interested to see that. I like these exhibition games. I like the WBC. We'll see what happens. Nothing can beat the way last cycle's tournament ended with Shohei Ohtani striking out Mike Trout. But I'll watch him try. Anyway, that's where things stand right now. A little bit of injury stuff to muddle through. Some positional.
What do you like? What was your? I know there's a lot of people who will be still taking some trips to Florida, I think, for spring training. I know that the time around St. Patrick's Day is always like a really popular, a time, and I know people try to take spring breaks down there. What was most outside of the ballpark? What did you and your dad do, and what maybe that was probably the most enjoyable thing? Other than slug some beers, which I did a lot of. I love that the cameras captured you and your dad during the broadcast.
Yes, if you look real closely from last Friday's game, after what was it? I'll get super specific so you can catch us at our.
I don't know. It was like the 8th inning.
It was the top of the 8th after the first out. I want to say they did a little crowd montage. And you could see my dad and I having some kind of animated conversation.
No. Your dad was listening. You were very animated. You were.
Well, given the fact that we do this show and I am one of the people whose mouth runs on it occasionally, I guess it's not super surprising for those to learn that I was talking my dad's ear off about something. I was probably reinforcing his opinion about Caden Hediger, who he really fell in love with. He likes Caden Hediger's style. He likes that he was hanging around JT, while he was catching painters during his warm-ups. Seemed like he was always talking with them. He liked how he looked when he got in the games behind the plate, and even how he was catching some warm-up pitches, the no gear stand-in while the actual catcher gets.
Wow, you were really paying attention.
Matt, we do slug the beers, but that doesn't mean our vision gets blurry. Anyway, Dunedin is a really cool place. This was the 3rd straight year my dad and I had done this. We went 2 years ago thinking it was going to be, all right, you check that box and then maybe you go back in a few years. And it really just kind of latched on and has become a thing that we've now done 3 consecutive years. There are a couple of staples around the Dunedin area where we stayed that we hit. There's a Hawaiian place called the Hanu that is fantastic. We like going there and getting a meat plate. It's called the mixed plate, but we just call it the meat plate. It's got different kinds of delicious meat on there. Get a little bit of a rum selection going. Usually some pretty good music. The musicians knew a couple of 70s deep cuts that my dad wanted to hear. He requested like a Marshall Tucker band song, and they knew it. So he was obviously very pleased with that. So we hit that place up. There was a newer place. They had done a little bit of road work since the last time we had been there, and a new place, at least new to us, that had sprouted up was the Chicken Garden, Jardín de Pollos. I don't know if it had been there before, but they make a really good Bolivian chicken place. A lot of breweries down there. We're very partial to Seventh Son, which has both a tap room and lets you get 4 packs to go if you want that.
Solid beers. Yeah.
Honestly, it is a really It is a really cool downtown. We like walking the Pinellas Trail, getting up to Main Street. There was a farmer's market that was going on the first day we were down there. That was really cool.
Yeah.
There is more happening down there in the Dunedin area, which is about 15 or 20 minutes or so from Clearwater, if you're thinking about where Baycare is. There's more going on down there than I think we were expecting, like within Dunedin itself. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a challenge to have to find stuff to do, before and after the games were played. And that is just not the case. There is a lot of stuff happening down there, and you are close to neighboring towns that also have a good amount of stuff going on. Clearwater has its own, set of things it can offer you. We just chose to spend most of our time in Dunedin for this particular trip. And it's great. And if you are somebody who is going down there or thinking about planning a trip for the spring, or even as the Threshers start their schedule, to be totally honest with you, and the Dunedin Blue Jays pick up their own schedule, it feels like a really cool place to be. I know Florida in the summer is a little bit tough to navigate. Weather was good this time, but I have no problem recommending a trip down to the Clearwater Dunedin area to check out some baseball, to check out the local happenings, to just experience a pretty cool town. You know what it reminds me of? It's like Florida's version of Asheville in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
If you've
I've
ever
been to both.
that area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like it. And I'm always really happy to take this trip now for 3 years in a row. And I'm hoping we get to make it again next year. We'll just have to see how things shake out. I know.
I don't think you're going to be doing it.
I don't think so either, but at least we got a few in before the pause here. Matt, as far as spring goes, are you going back down to Florida before the schedule wraps up? Okay. When are you heading back down there?
What's today?
March the 4th.
The 16th, I think.
Okay.
I'll be down there for about the last week of camp.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
It's right around time when the WBC wraps up.
Good. Yep. That's good timing. All right. Excellent. Speaking of good timing, I think it's time for us to wrap this one up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Phillies Therapy, part of the Believe Podcast Network. If you want more, feel free to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. We have introduced new tiers. As you might have heard at the start of this episode, there's an executive producer tier where you can get credit for helping us really keep this running, in addition to some other perks, which are described on the site. There's also a mid-level tier called Producer, which, again, helps us keep doing what we're doing, as well as the regular office hours tier, which gives you access to the Discord server and community that we are so very proud of, that continues to grow and grow and grow. It's only $5 a month. If that's all you want to contribute, that is 100% fine. Thank you for thinking of us. We would love to see you there. So again, thank you, everybody, for listening. For Matt, I am Paul, and we'll catch you next time. Additional producers for today's episode are Brian J., Briana W., CallisonGhost, Christopher S., Daniel Y., Hunter R., Ian, Jacob, Jaedon M., Joe M., John S., Kaitlin M., Kodi L., Lindsay, Michael W., Michael W.E., Robert R., Timothy G., Tom D., Tom H., and Zack. Thank you so much for your support. Again, if you'd like to be a supporter of the show, go to patreon.com/Phillies Therapy to learn more.
Taste the Mediterranean at Whole Foods Market with a vibrant selection that captures the flavors of the region. Shop coastal favorites like responsibly farmed whole bronzini and jumbo white shrimp, and pair them with specialty pastas, robust olive oils, and aromatic sauces directly sourced from the Mediterranean. Want a fast and easy dinner? Grab refreshing Greek salads and tortellini from the prepared foods department. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The lone wolf, who you thought was a good collaborator because you didn't have the right candidate insights. But once you hired them, it was all hoarding info, declining meetings, and howling at the full moon? But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can go deeper than just the resume to find you a perfect fit. By using insights from the LinkedIn network to give you a short list of best fit candidates. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post your first job today and get $100 off at linkedin.com/Pandora offer. Terms and conditions apply.
Wherever your family is headed, every mile should feel like part of the adventure. With room for 7, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee is built for your whole crew. Quick morning drop-offs, weekend tournaments, and those unplanned sunset chases that bring everyone together. 4x4 capability keeps you confident through surprises, detours, and let's see where this goes moments. Because the laughter, the stories, and the everyone talking at once rides are the ones that become family legends. The 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee, made for family adventures that matter. Jeep and a Jeep Grill are registered trademarks of FCA US LLC.
Support for this podcast comes from Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Did you know riders who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $180 per year? That's a whole new pair of riding gloves and more. Quote today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $178 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between October 2022 and September 2023. Potential savings will vary.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.